Welcome to episode 47 of the Landlady Boss podcast. I'm here with my sister and co-host Rachel. Hello, Rachel. You have a closing tomorrow. Tell me a little bit about that and how you're managing that from Bulgaria.
Banks have started doing remote notaries. I first moved to Bulgaria, and definitely when I lived in Egypt and India and all of the business that I had to do, I would have to go to the embassy, and I'd have to get the documents through snail mail, embassy, then notarize them, then send them back. And hopefully I had a friend who was in the military who could send something through their pouch. So it was really difficult for me to do business. But now the world's different. It's just you log in, you click the link, you scan something with your phone and show the ID, your license front and back. And then the notary comes on and talks to you, asks you a few questions. In fact, part of the process is they'll pull with your social security number questions from your credit, like a house that you've owned, or do you recognize any of these cars? Have you ever owned these cars? And so with these questions that come from your background, they're able to establish who you are. And most title companies are loving that these remote notaries take away a lot of the liability on them. They don't have to prove that the person who signed was actually that person because they went through an entire third-party process to establish that that person's legit. So this has become a really good, more safe, secure way to sign for property. So this is really great.
That's amazing. So you have a closing tomorrow, but you're able to go and remote sign everything and handle it all from Bulgaria.
Yes, so I'm the realtor and I'm selling my house. And in this case, they'll send you the documents that you sign with the title company, and you can just do those on DocuSign, most of them. But the deed has to be notarized. So there's just a really important document that you cannot do without a notary. So this system helps you to get there. I'm loving it. It's easy. In your pajamas, you could sign away a house.
And in your pajamas. That's awesome. Well, it kind of brings us to our topic today. We thought we'd talk about travel hacks as landladies. I know episode 6, way back long ago, we talked about how to travel the world and still manage your property. So we're not going to necessarily get into a lot of the nitty gritties of the property management side, but some travel hacks as you are traveling. We're getting into that busy travel season. Yeah. I have some trips planned that I'm so excited about. I'm sure others are starting to plan their summers out and travel plans and thinking, okay, how do I do this while I'm a landlady? And I think that's a big question on people's mind. I remember getting rental properties, and one of my reasons was so that I could travel more with my family, and then planning a trip and going, wait, what do I do if this and this and this happens? And feeling kind of those like golden handcuffs, kind of that panic, like it's not worth it. I think I can't go anywhere, and just feeling almost trapped. And that is not the goal of rental properties, right? It's supposed to bring us more freedom, more flexibility, and time to do the things that matter most to us. So I know we want to share some of our travel hacks that help us manage properties from afar, and hopefully they can help you have some of the freedom and flexibility this summer as you go into your travel plans. So
this is really important. Have a power of attorney with somebody that you trust back home. So if you have an assistant that is also able to sign on your bank account, they're able to sign checks and deposit checks and things while you're gone, make sure they also have a power of attorney, or you can put those in 2 different people's hands. You can have somebody who's able to sign checks and somebody else that's able to sign on your behalf. Probably smart to split that up. But anyway, if you have somebody that with the power of attorney, they can then do real estate transactions on your behalf. And I had one point where I needed to pick up my tax returns, and the accountant wouldn't give it to anybody but the person who was on the taxes. And she showed her POA and was able to pick up my taxes for me. So it's just nice that they can flash that and actually get some stuff done for you.
That is nice. And you talk about taxes. Okay, maybe people are thinking, well, I'm not traveling long enough that I need to mess with my taxes. But even just utility companies, I know I have an assistant that will handle a lot of transferring utilities over because, as we know, that can be a mind-numbing, awful job. But just having that ability to speak on my behalf and transfer utilities over is important, or even having a business portal, like an online bank portal. I know for me, we have a different login that, my assistant can use, and she can just have access to the accounts that I want her to see and have access to. And then she can handle any invoices or payments that need to happen while I am traveling. So having having those things set up where you have someone that can act on your behalf is going to be super helpful if a big emergency or just a bill or something comes up that you weren't planning on.
They can go pick up some counter checks. I've called in, had counter checks waiting for them, and then they grabbed them. So these are just important things to have people you trust be able to help you with your banking and your transactions. It's really big.
And even leaving a business credit card with an employee or assistant or trusted someone is important too, because I have been traveling before and it was like, oh my gosh, we got to buy this, whatever, or pay this technician, and having a business credit card that someone I trusted and you could use that to pay was so helpful, because often, they come out to handle the problem and they call and say, this is the issue. Okay, I need to take a credit card over the phone before I'm going to do any more work on this.
That's super smart. Yeah, I once had to buy a fridge. I had the credit card. They didn't. So at Home Depot, they had to have the person call me, and then I gave them the credit card over the phone. But it did limit some of the things we could do and where they could go to buy a fridge, because they had to have that ability to be able to call, and not all places will do that. So yeah, super smart to make sure and leave the credit card and the keys. People get locked out. That's happened before, where all the extra keys are in your house locked up. Nobody has a key to that house. So just make sure that whoever has the phone for the business while you're away, or whoever's doing that they also have all the keys to the place, because if someone's locked out, they can let them in.
Right, exactly. And I have a box of keys and have them labeled and stuff, and if a trusted person on my team or whatever can have access to that to get to the keys if necessary. So that's going to be helpful, because just this morning we had a situation where in an office building, the plumbing was not working right, and the people there at work needed access to a different part of the building to use the bathrooms there, and we had to have keys for that part. Well, I wasn't available, but in the box there were keys, so that my assistant can run and get them and open that part.
Yeah, what's the next one? Oh, a SIM card. This is important.
Yeah, when I travel, I get an eSIM card. It's eSIM for travel. That's what I use. But you can go, you can click the country you're going to before you arrive there, and you can buy, so much data and internet coverage. And then when you land, you can use that code. We were on a trip last year, and we were going to, a few different countries, and we could buy a plan that kind of encompassed all three. And so when you land, you do the code and you turn it on, and then you have a phone plan just like you would if you bought a plan there, and you can use your phone all through that country. So that has been huge. You don't have to, get a local phone plan.
And you download it and have it ready to go to switch to that when you land. I've done it where I was going to buy it when I arrived, and they didn't have Wi-Fi where I was at to rent the car. And then they needed me to give the receipt, but I couldn't get onto my phone onto the because I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I couldn't log in, and I couldn't buy a SIM because I didn't have Wi-Fi. So the lady at the counter ended up giving me a hotspot so I could buy the eSIM. So then I could get them, copies of the rental receipt. But having that backup is amazing. Having the ability to just, no matter if you're on a street far away, you're not by a hotel where you can use their Wi-Fi, you can now get around, use GPS and everything. So really good to have that eSIM when you're traveling. And they do it by time. So you can buy a month, a week, you can top it up, and then, yeah, it's really great.
Well, and then people can get a hold of you, either your team members. This brings us to the next one, having a Google Voice number or an internet number, or a way that tenants can be communicating with maintenance issues that you can see while you are out of the country or out of town, or in their portal, doing maintenance requests where you can be checking your emails and seeing those requests. So that's going to be super helpful. I know that just having the phone service, being able to see the concerns as they come through, even if you have someone fielding your calls, or maybe a virtual assistant handling that stuff, I just like to be in the know of what things are happening in case I need to address something.
It was worth it to me to get a maintenance 24/7 operator, that they call in that number, they log the problem, and then if it's an emergency, I give them the list of the handyman, and then they send them out immediately. If it's not an emergency, they just log it and I'll take care of it. But that also has freed me up to be able to just travel and not worry that I'm going to miss an emergency call, because now my night and days are switched. And so I'm sleeping and then there's a problem, a pipe's burst, but you know what I mean? So I can now travel, switch time zones, and I always know that maintenance requests are being handled. So that kind of was something that was helpful for me, right?
That is a good idea. Yeah, thinking about getting a 24-hour answering service if you need to, depending on how long you're going to be out of the country or if you're moving indefinitely, whatever, or having those set up, or a virtual assistant that's handling all those things and fielding the calls and texts and emails. So finding ways to do that with you gone is great. Also, automating everything. We went more into depth in this in episode 6, and I'll put the link to that in the show notes. But automating things, making sure that you have things as automated as possible with your tenants. And we go into this a lot more in our courses on how to set up your property management business and how to manage them. But automating, where the payments are still coming in, you do not have to be in town to go collect the payments, or all those kind of things that you would do manually as you go throughout your day. And things that you're doing with your properties, is there a way to make this automated so I don't have to do it? Maybe even having automated text responses for commonly asked questions that can just be automatically responding.
It also allows for time. So if they're getting a response, hey, I'll get back to you soon, something like that, then when you do get to a Wi-Fi a hotel, and then you're going to listen to all your messages, that allows you to do it when you can do it, not when you're in the middle of a museum and you're worried you're going to miss an important call. I was thinking about the automation that we do with the landlord agreements with your utilities. So if you have a property and it goes vacant, then it automatically switches back into your landlord agreement. But if you don't have it set up on auto pay, then you have a bill sitting there that's in your name, but you won't pay it because you don't know it's there. So having an auto pay set up on the landlord agreement, then automatically it'll start paying those bills. So that's another place to automate.
Well, that's a great idea. And you may look at smart tech ideas for your properties. They have all sorts of things, obviously cameras and smart locks and smart thermostats and all this stuff that you could, if you really wanted to be very hands-off and free for wherever you are, you could always be checking on the cameras or changing the lock codes depending on who needs access, or be connected, but remotely. So that's a good thing to look into, all the smart tech stuff they have out there for houses now. And building out your team. Obviously, if you are traveling quite a lot or gone for long periods of time, having a local team is going to be huge. Anytime you have rental properties, especially while you're gone, having that team built out, you have your regular people, your handymen, your cleaners, having your assistants, all of your people that you need, having obviously those relationships and having good ways to communicate with them.
That's people you trust. I think I wouldn't travel until you have your team set up. I would spend time having everyone trained. They know how to do check-ins and check-outs. They know what to do, what's expected, so that your business runs the way you want it to run, and you don't have gaps in service because you haven't trained well enough. So having people you rely on and already testing them out. Are they good? Do they know how to clean? You've already looked after they've cleaned the carpet cleaner. Are they good? So that you could hire the carpet cleaner to come, you could hire the cleaner to come while you're not there, and then the tenant can walk in and it's done and you trust that it's done well because you already have used the services first.
And as you use them more and more, you're going to have a better feeling for what they can and can't do. And depending on how many properties you have, if you have 1 or 2 properties and you want to go for a week to Florida, it's not going to be nearly as critical to have a whole built-out team than if you had 40 houses and you're leaving for 5 months. Obviously, you're going to need a lot more staff for that. So looking at your size of your operation, but definitely want to test those people and vet them and make sure that they're doing good work so that you can trust their work. I mean, if you're out of town or traveling and it's your first time working with someone and you just have to get someone out there, you're taking a risk there. You don't know what kind of work they're going to do or how the product's going to end up. So try to have those things planned out before. And then having everything stored electronically, I think, is important. As we've mentioned before, having files for each house, have Google Drives, have pictures, have leases and all of your documents, have everything electronically stored, and then you can access them from anywhere in the world if you need to email things out or check on information. So that's going to be important. And you can always share those documents with, an assistant or an office person that you have if they need access to it too, so that they have all of the documents at the touch of their fingertips. Those are some of, I think, our big hacks. And I mean, the last one I could think of was just making sure that you enjoy your travel time and don't let the work run your day. Making sure you have, set times maybe blocked out, or if you are with your family, saying, I need to do 2 hours this morning and then the rest of the day is yours. Or, making sure that you're still present in the traveling time, so they're not like, you're working all the time, or we're on vacation and you're never here, so. But hopefully these hacks and others that we have shared in episode 6 can help you enjoy your vacations and do what really matters most, which is spending time with those you love and making memories. So some of the travel hacks that we were also discussing before the show that maybe you hadn't thought of, these are some fun airplane hacks that you can do just to make things more comfortable. It has nothing to do with properties, but as we talk, we love traveling. We've done it a lot, and some of these flights are super long. In August, I'm going to visit my son in Korea. So, I mean, that is like the longest leg is 15 hours, something crazy. So we were talking about all these fun little airplane hacks we have, and we want to share them with you, and maybe they'll help you just be a little more comfortable the next time you have a long flight. The first one we were talking about is compression socks. I'm sure everyone's heard of them, but making sure you have those compression stockings on for all the swelling. So when you arrive, you can actually, walk off the plane, because you get so puffy. Another one I like to do is I have enough horror travel stories that I do not like to check my luggage if at all possible. It doesn't matter. I'm going a week, I'm going 3 weeks. I take a backpack. I'm a very minimalist packer. I kind of take pride in it, almost like it's a challenge. And my husband and I call it packing utopia, where you used everything perfectly. Like every article was used for what it was needed. You didn't feel like you needed more. You didn't feel like you needed less.
I love it. No, remember when you came and visited me in Egypt, and they didn't have your luggage for so long. You didn't have anything to wear for like 2 weeks or something. So it worked.
I do remember.
I know it worked out, but it's come by it, honestly, that we like to just use our carry-on, and so we just pack a carry-on, and you can always do laundry. In fact, we plan Airbnbs so that every 3 or 4 days there is a washer and dryer, and then you don't need a whole bunch of things. So that is good. And then I'll just put like a collapsible duffel bag, like a thin one that doesn't have a frame, and I throw it in so it goes flat. And then when I'm done with my dirty laundry can go in there. It becomes kind of like a storage. But when I go back home, I put any of my fragile things in my carry-on, and I put my laundry in the duffel bag, and I check it on. So I check on a bag only going home, because I don't care if they lose it for 2 weeks, but my fragile things are on my carry-on.
Right. And I guess if you did just do too much shopping or too many souvenirs, you do have an extra overflow bag. I once flew to Europe to do a European cruise, and I arrived there and my luggage did not arrive. And we had arrived a couple days early even. So we're like, it'll be fine. It will come before the cruise starts. Well, it didn't. So, I'm the lady that's shopping at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning in Venice, Italy, trying to find something to take on the cruise ship with me, because I'm about to get on a week-long cruise without anything. Let me tell you, the Nike store is one of the only things open in a predominantly Catholic city.
It's comfortable, and it stretches for all of the buffets.
I had a lot of workout clothes that trip.
Perfect. Formal yoga pants. It works. I love it. But I always put 2 pairs of underwear, 2 pairs of socks, and one outfit rolled up in the bottom of my backpack, because even my carry-on will sometimes get checked in, and that's happened before and delayed. And so I always just have that outfit, and I have any medicines in my backpack, and just, and my laptop. And I am self-contained. If something happens, my backpack's okay. That's important.
So important. That is having that extra change of clothes is a big deal. Maybe even just get like a long layover and you don't have access to your checked bags. So yes. And then there are some little hacks of things to make you more comfortable on the plane. I know I've used like the foot sling that you can hang from the table in front of the lap table in front of you. And that is I guess if you're really tall, maybe it wouldn't work, but I'm 5'5", so 5'4" and 3/4", but Don't tell anyone. So I would put my feet in there, and it was like so relaxing.
Oh, it's like a contoured memory foam pillow, but it rolls up into just a small little sausage like that. And then when it pops open and it's still a real pillow. But when I arrive, everywhere I travel, I can just carabiner it on my backpack as a pillow, but then I have a real pillow when I arrive. I love that.
I need to get one of those because I don't have that, and I'm always trying to like find that comfortable position or even lay on my husband's shoulder, and it's just not comfy. So I'm gonna get one of those. That sounds amazing. Well, and I know they have like inflatable lap pillows. Our sister that has lived all over the
Yeah,
world, she always talks about getting these inflatable pillows that you can put on the table in front of you, and then you can
I
just
do.
like put your head on it and sleep that way. So they have all sorts of little gadgets out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the little, you can plug in this little stick into the headphone jack, and then it'll Bluetooth to your wireless headphones. So you don't have to wear their headphones, because often it's just like one little plug-in jack. And so then you're stuck the whole time wearing their uncomfortable ones, but you have really good ones. So you
Oh,
just put yours in, and then it Bluetooths to that jack. So I love that one.
because I've always wondered like, what's the point? You can't wear Bluetooth headphones on the plane, and then
Yeah.
yeah, theirs are so uncomfortable. So
Yes.
some of our little hacks we've learned over the years. I'm sure you guys all have tons that you do too. We'd love to hear about it. But hopefully this helps you have a better travel season this summer and helps you to enjoy your loved ones and make wonderful memories. And that's the whole point, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing, is so that we can have freedom and flexibility. So if you're interested in some of the things we've talked about today in content that we have for you, check out landladyboss.com. We have our free damage inspection forms and property calculator, and then our courses that can help you streamline some of these processes, and they have great workbooks with them. So any of these things
Yes.
we've talked about that can help you automate and systemize your rental properties to make it easier for you. So happy renting.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for what you do. You're doing a thankless job a lot of the time, but it's necessary and very appreciated. So have a wonderful week. And remember, no one can manage your properties as well as you.